Let's take a call from Melanie in Victoria. Hi, Melanie. Welcome along.
Thank you. Just have a question based around HECS. I've heard that, I'm not sure the right words, but like the interest of HECS is increasing quite substantially. Our family still has one HECS debt. We own our own property and things. So I'm just wondering what the advice might be about whether we should actually pay off the remaining sum on the HECS.
Good question, Melanie, because
It is.
there's some indexation that's happening on HECS debts. Thoughts here, Alex?
Yeah, look, thank you, Melanie. It's a great question, and it's one that's popped up a lot in the last 6 months. Normally, it's not talked about that much, but because of what's happening, that's changed. So normally HECS is it's a very cheap debt, right? In the sense that it really only goes up each year by inflation. Now, inflation's been very benign and very low for a very long period of time. But all of a sudden, as no surprise, inflation's jumped dramatically in the last 12 months. And as a result, HECS is going up by, I think, at least 7% this year. And so people are asking this question, should I pay it off? The first way to address this is, I think, if I listen to you correctly, you don't have a mortgage, in which case, if you've got no other debt, then you might want to start chipping away at HECS so that it doesn't grow, because you don't want it to keep growing and growing and growing. You want to actually pay it down as a general principle. In saying that, for anyone else with this same sort of question, because it is a common one now, generally what I say to people is you list your debts in order of their size, but also in order of the interest rate. So if your HECS debt costs you 7%, but your mortgage is costing you 8%, then you're better off paying off your mortgage. Likewise, your credit card's more like 18%. So typically you pay off the high interest rate ones first, because that's the one that's costing you the most, and you're throwing money at interest. So the key one is always the highest interest rate first. Now, there may be other considerations in that, but generally speaking, I would say to people, you really do want to chip away at your HECS debt and not let it continue to grow, particularly now that it is going to go up by 7% rather than the historic sort of between 1% and 3%. So it's a great question, Melanie.
Melanie, anything further to add?
I'm just wondering, does it also depend on your income level? Like we homeschool, we've only got one income. And so I think in the past I've been told that, yes, if you're below a certain income, then it's not necessarily... you probably can finish that off. I'm not really great at explaining
No, you're right. No, Melanie, you're right. So basically, it's a threshold when you have to start paying it back. So if you're below that threshold, and then it goes up in percentages. So the more you earn, the greater the percentage that you have to pay back. So if your income, say particularly the person who has the HECS debt is not working, then you're not actually having to repay any of it. So you're not obliged to pay it. However, as I say, what you don't want is it to keep growing 10 years down, large debt, household can afford it. You just want to keep chipping away and paying it off and get rid of it as quick as you can, particularly if that's your only debt. As I say, if you've got other debts and it's a competition as to which one you pay off, because particularly if you are thinking about taking out another loan at some point, banks do look at the HECS debt and look at the percentage that you're forced to repay every year, because that will affect the serviceability of a loan. So you do need to take that into consideration going forward. But certainly, in my view, is you want to keep chipping away and get rid of it, even if you're below the threshold and you're not forced to. You don't want it to keep growing.
Melanie, thank you so much for your call. Our talkback line is open on 1-800-316-316.